friends, I just wanted to get on here real quick and do a video follow-up of my statement that I made on my community page a couple of weeks ago and why I've kind of been MIA for a couple weeks, at least a week. About trying to remember the dates and the timelines of things. I may not get them all right, and that's not really the important thing. But towards the end of June, first part of July, my brother, my oldest brother, Doug, and I'll insert a picture here of the family when we were young. When you're looking at the picture, the girl farthest to the left is my oldest sister, Becky, and then my mom, and she's holding a baby, and that baby is my youngest sister, Kathy. And then the tall guy with glasses is my oldest brother, Doug, and he's holding me. And then it's my middle brother, Stan, and then my youngest brother, Brad. I am fifth out of 6 children. But anyway, my oldest brother, Doug, he's 14 years older than me. He was at Walmart, and all of a sudden he started getting these weird flashing lights out of the corner of his eye, and he thought it was very strange, and it kind of made him dizzy, and he had to find a place to sit down, and he sat down till it got better, and then he was able to drive himself home. And he would continue to have these flashing lights, mainly in the corner of his right eye, mainly, periodically. And it got to the point where he called the eye doctor, and he made an appointment. And he went to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor then referred him to his family doctor. And his family doctor ordered an MRI of his brain. And so this all took maybe a week or so for all of those things to happen. Well, the beginning of July, he got the test results back from the MRI, and it showed a tumor pressing on his optic nerve in this part of his brain up here. So, of course, they wanted to do a biopsy, and nothing happens quickly. It took about a month from the first diagnosed, the first MRI to the actual biopsy. And during that time, the week before, during that time, his vision kept getting worse, and these weird flashes and stuff were worse, and he'd have double vision and things like that. Well, then the week before his biopsy, he had more testing done, another MRI, a full body scan to see if there were any tumors anywhere else present in his body, blood work, like the whole 9 yards that he had done the week before. So then 2 weeks ago on Monday, he went in for the biopsy. And I had gone over, he lives with my dad. My oldest brother never got married. He was a confirmed bachelor, and he has become the main caretaker for my dad since my mother passed away. So, and they live right next door to me. And so I went over that Sunday evening and visited with them for a little while, and they were eating dinner when I got over there, and Doug had cooked their dinner, and he got up and started doing dishes and everything, and we were chatting, and then I had to go, and so I gave him a hug bye and wished him well, for the next day. So he went in for the biopsy, and then Monday night we got a call. My dad called me and said, everything went well. Doug is doing well. The surgery went well, and they're thinking that he would be able to come home by Wednesday. So I'm like, oh, that's great. That's awesome news. Well, the next day, Tuesday, he started taking a turn for the worse. He started having horrible abdominal pain. He was unable to eat. He was very, very weak, very, very tired, and they couldn't figure out why he was having this abdominal pain, other than maybe it was some sort of reaction to the medication they had him on. They had him on pain relief, obviously, and steroids to keep the swelling in his brain down, and all of that. And They just couldn't figure out why he was having all this pain. He was unable to go to the bathroom, and those are one of the things that they, you can't be released from the hospital till you've gone to the bathroom and you pass certain milestones. Well, he was not passing these milestones, and so Wednesday came and went. He still was not able to come home from the hospital, and he just was not doing very well at all. We still had not received any kind of confirmation from the biopsy of what was going on with him. The neurosurgeon did come in at one point and told him that from the time of his first MRI to the second MRI, the pre-op MRI, the tumor had grown significantly. And so that was not a good sign. So the other issue he was having was that his platelets kept going low, and they couldn't figure out why his platelets were going low. So Sunday, not yesterday, not Sunday, this past Sunday, what day was Sunday? Let me get the calendar, hold on. So I'm looking at the calendar. Doug had the biopsy on the 17th of August. On the 23rd of August, which was the Sunday, he was still in the hospital. My oldest sister, Becky, and her husband took Dad to church, and then they were left from church and they were going to go to the hospital to see Doug. Now, also amongst all of these problems was the COVID thing, and so visitation was like, some hospitals were allowing it, other hospitals were not allowing it. So I hadn't seen my brother since the day before his biopsy on the 16th, okay? So anyway, on the 23rd, they went to church, and then they were going to go to the hospital, and if no one else but my dad could go in to see him, then fine, but somebody was going to go see him. Well, that particular hospital that Doug was at was allowing visitors. Anybody who wanted to go could go visit, which I didn't know that until the 23rd. That whole week I thought nobody was allowed to see him. But anyway, so they walk into the room and they said, oh, he's being discharged today. But it's going to be a couple of hours because we just hung this transfusion of blood platelets, this bag of blood platelets transfusion, and so that has to do its thing, and then he's going to be dismissed and able to go home, released to go home. And my dad at the time thought, that is very strange. If they're still transfusing his platelets, why are they sending him home? But he didn't argue with them. He was just, Doug was really wanting to go home, and everybody was wanting him to go home so that we could see him. So they got home finally. It was around 6 o'clock Sunday night, and I messaged my sister who had gone with them and said, okay, how's he doing? Is he tired? How's he doing? She said he's very tired and he's very weak. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to let him rest tonight, let him kind of get settled back into being home, and then I'll come see him on Monday, which would have been the 24th. Well, 5 o'clock in the morning on the 24th, I got a text from my other brother, my youngest brother, Brad, saying that the ambulance had come at 3 o'clock Monday morning and took Doug back to the hospital. He was having stroke-like symptoms. He wasn't able to speak, he was unable to walk, he was unable to do anything. He was speaking gibberish, he was out of his head. I mean, just unable to communicate, or he was in bad shape. So the ambulance took him to the closest hospital, and that hospital was not allowing visitors at all. 0 visitors. So my dad and my brother did not follow the ambulance up. My brother gave them his cell phone number to contact, to let him know what's going on. So a little bit later, after the ambulance took him, the hospital called and they're like, why is he here? What's wrong with him? Because Doug was unable to tell them what was going on or what was wrong with him. So Brad told them, he's got this tumor and told him the whole story. So they kept him there. They did another brain scan, and they found a bleed. His brain was bleeding. At first they said it was the tumor that was bleeding. Then a few days later they said it wasn't the tumor that was bleeding. But anyway, this bleeding was causing these stroke-like symptoms. He hadn't had a stroke, but it was acting like a stroke. They said they were unable to deal with him at that hospital. It was a small hospital. It's a small hospital. So they transferred him to the hospital where he had the surgery, so the neurosurgeon could, deal with him. So they did that. They transferred him to that hospital, and then I went over there about 9 o'clock in the morning, or it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and my brother was still there. And while I was there, the hospital called and said, we're transferring him to the other big hospital in South Bend because we don't have any room. We have no beds. So we began to wonder if maybe they discharged him too soon because they didn't have beds, or they were needing his bed. That's just all conjecture. We don't know, but that's kind of what we suspect. So they transferred him to the other big hospital in South Bend, which that hospital is allowing 0 visitors. So here it is. Today is the 31st, the last day of August. Doug has been in the hospital since the 17th, except for those few short hours on Sunday the 23rd, and I have not been able to see him. We did finally get a formal diagnosis of what is wrong with my brother. He has what is called glioblastoma. It is a very aggressive, fast-growing, incurable brain cancer. The tumor is inoperable, and so for the last week we've been trying to determine what we were going to do. Obviously, Doug could not come home. There's no one that could take care of him. My dad can't. None of us can. He requires too much care. And so we were trying to decide what we were going to do. During this week, from the 24th till today, Doug has improved. We think the bleeding in his brain stopped, and then a lot of those stroke-like symptoms have gone away. He is able to communicate. He still can't see. That was the other thing. He didn't go blind, but he's got such terrible double vision that he cannot see. So he's basically blind, you might want to say. He can watch TV if he closes one eye, but he can't read. He is able to communicate now. All of that came back. He knows he has his, because initially they were asking him questions like, who's the president? What's your name? What day is it? And stuff like that. He got everything wrong except for his name. But now he knows who he is. He knows the time. I mean, everything, all of that has kind of gotten better. And so the latest that I heard, which was just yesterday, I believe, Doug is still doing well. My brother and my dad and my sister were able to do a video chat with him, which I wasn't able to do because I was at work, and he was able to hold a conversation for 40 minutes or so. So he did really well. The doctors want to try an aggressive radiation treatment on him. They want to do some physical therapy to build up his strength. And he's not going to go into hospice care right now because he is going to try these treatments. It will not cure him, but it hopefully will make his quality of life better and prolong his life. Typically, someone who has this diagnosis, their life expectancy is a year. That's if the tumor's operable. In operable cases, the life expectancy is 3 to 5 months. Of course, we're praying that God will just heal him, which is totally possible. But he knows Jesus. He loves Jesus, and if the worst happens, he will get to see my mom. And Jesus pretty soon. So we're trying to stay positive and keep that in mind. That does give us peace, knowing that we know where he's going to go. So in the meantime, we're trying to get him into a local nursing home who will transport him back and forth to his treatments. They will provide the physical therapy, and the hope is that he will get strong enough that he can come home and be at home and for however long God plans for him to be on this earth. So I would appreciate prayers for the family. The biggest concern really is care for my dad. My dad is 87 years old. He's not in great health. He's gotten quite feeble in the last few years, and we are afraid that he will fall. He's got all of his mental faculties. He can take care of himself. He knows that, he's as sharp as a tack. I mean, that is not the concern. It's just that if he fell, broke a hip or whatever, or fell and couldn't get back up, that's the main reason why Doug was there, was to make sure that didn't happen. So that is a concern, and of course my dad is being stubborn about it and says he doesn't need anybody to live with him and take care of him. But the family that lives nearby have been checking on him daily and making sure that he's eating and taking care of his needs. So it does put a lot of pressure on the rest of the family, and we do definitely have this concern for my brother. And it's just a very hard, trying, emotional time. I do plan to continue doing videos. It kind of is a distraction. Now that I know, hopefully, that my brother's death is not imminent, I'm going to continue to put videos out and just kind of keep life going as normal as I possibly can. Now, the next video that you will see after this one is one that I actually filmed, I don't know, probably a month ago now. I was planning on uploading it before all of this happened with my brother, and then I just felt like it's not appropriate to put that on there because it just wasn't appropriate. So anyway, now that I've explained what's been going on with us, and like I said, just keep us in your prayers and pray for a miracle. God is the God of miracles, and it could happen. So pray for a miracle, and pray for peace, and pray for wisdom for the rest of us, that we know how to deal with my dad and the whole situation. Thank you so much, friends, for reaching out to me. I got a lot of comments on that community page post, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the prayers. I felt them. I've felt a lot of peace and calm in the last week, and I know that's from you and from God and from your prayers. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye, friends.